We'll start this by making a point. A point is different than a taper. In a taper, you hit one side, turn it, hit the other side, and then turn it back to the first side. Here, we're going to rotate it through all 360 degrees and bring all four sides down to one clean point. This will make it easier to start the spiral and give us a nice clean start, and everything else can be piled on top of that. The second heat here, I'm just going to flatten out those little spots where my hammer bit the metal and make sure it's smooth. Then I'm going to move it to the edge of the anvil and just gently start to curve it over to start my spiral. Notice I'm hitting off the anvil, and that's what makes that curled shape. Then we can just kind of push it back toward us. This is where hammer control comes in. It's the hardest part. Once you get used to the feeling, it's really easy and it's a lot of fun. But it's very strange at first, trying to push something toward you. Especially for that first one, make sure you use all the anvil, move your piece around, just hit it however you have to get it where you want it to be, and just keep it going. And once the beginning is nice and tight, make a small portion that you're going to try to roll up. If you try to roll up too much at once, it can get kind of goofy, especially if you have a large part of it heated. For this earlier part, I have it overheated than what I'm actually working on. You'll see as the roll gets bigger, it's easier to localize heat to the next part that you're going to work. But for now, you just want to try to heat just the end and just roll that thing on up. Hammering straight down on the spiral helps clean it up and make it nice and tight. And then get to the next part, kind of make it bent, and then roll that up. Tighten up your spiral a little bit by hammering directly down on it. Back to the forge and continue on. As you work your scroll, just make sure you keep it tight. Especially for a candle holder, this is going to be the base. You want it to be tight so that it'll catch any candle wax that might drip down and keep it from getting on your table. It's not a huge deal, but it's nice to have a piece of equipment that works as it's supposed to, and it just looks nicer. Here we're going to start making the part that's going to hold the candle, and so it's got to come up away from that spiral. And I'll be honest, I should have quenched the spiral itself, because then when I started working on everything else, the spiral wouldn't have changed shape. It's not what I did, so you'll see me fiddle with it a lot, trying to make sure that this spiral stays as it is. I should have just quenched it. Would have made everything so much easier. But as it is, you start out going up, and then just refine that shape as much as you can. Find what works for you. When I do these in the future, I'm going to have a better idea of what I'm doing. Right here is sort of exploration, and I figure out what makes it look really nice. I'm really happy with the way it ended up being in the end. I also realized I had too much metal here, so just cut off that extra. This end is going to go into the candle itself. Kind of the same idea as the first part. You're just going to make a point. No need to really discuss it in depth. You're working it all around on all four edges, trying to make sure it's as thin as you can get it. To refine the shape, I found that a pair of tongs works best. There is some work that can be done on the anvil, but for the most part, these tongs are going to be the best thing that you can do. And later I use a pair of pliers to get a little bit more control. Just kind of move the metal the way that you need to. Tightening up that spiral as well. There's a lot you can do with tongs. The first bend you make is actually the one that's going to be sticking upright to hold the candle itself. It bends away from the body. And then you're going to want to make the second bend, which is the closer one. Here I quench that first bend so that I can't mess it up. And I can hit it with the hammer to make the second bend. I should have also quenched the spiral so that it would not get messed up by me hammering away. I didn't, and I learned. You can learn from me. Again, there's a lot you can do on an anvil. When you're shaping metal like this, there's even more you can do with the tongs. After pulling that piece down, there's a lot you can do to just kind of refine the shape. So just get in there, move the metal around. Remember to clean off your scale. I do clean the scale off camera. You don't want to end up having scale as a permanent part of your fixture, but yeah, once you get that thing bent down, you can kind of hammer it flat, make sure everything is exactly as you want it. Move it around, don't be afraid, just get in there. Finally, I got the entire thing really hot. It gives me plenty of time to get everything exactly as I want it. Just refine all the little shapes. Get in there with a pair of pliers. Gives you a little bit more control than tongs. Not a whole lot, but it's worth doing. And then here I get the exact shape that I want it to be. And just straighten up all the final little bits. You want that piece that holds the candle to be as straight as you can get it. And using a nice long pair of tongs is a great way to do that. I think this is about right. I'm going to let it cool for a little bit so I can clean it up. Start getting that thing cleaned, free of scale, and actually free of some of that blackened color so that you can see how the metal would look. After much sanding, you can see it's cool now. I can touch it by hand. Having a hard time getting some of those curves cleaned up. It just tears up sandpaper as you try to clean it, but that's the way it happens. Use a lot of sandpaper, a lot of patience. You get there. It's a lot of fun and it's worth it in the end. Let me use the latent heat that's still in my forge here to just warm it up. Not too so hot that it changes colors, but warm enough that it'll melt my beeswax. And just kind of slide it in there, let it melt some of the beeswax, and then I'll come back with a brush and make sure everything's covered so that it won't rust and so that it has the finish that I like it to have. I use beeswax and linseed oil. It's same thing I've always used. I just have a different container now that's big enough I can do things like this.